Hi everyone, I just want to talk about exchange traded funds for a moment, and you'll know that wherever people sort of start off with the approved list, I rank and sort these for you and filter it in terms of volatility, just to give you some objective educational data. Volatility, sortinos, and you'll know if you go through the program what that means. Return alpha as well. Remember, these are not recommendations. I'm just showing you objective data for education, so you can learn what to look for. Now, here's a sneaky little trick, which I think is really useful, and I appreciate because I'm a geek. I'm going to enjoy this more than you might. But one clever little thing to do, you got to remember all exchange traded funds always have the same format for naming. So the first thing you'll see, PIMCO, PowerShares, Xtrackers, Direction, Lixor, whatever it is, that's the supplier. And the best and easiest thing you could do is you can go to their website, Wisdom Tree, for instance, and then you would put into their search box, Wisdom Tree Physical Gold, or whatever else. And I'll tell you why that's really useful and clever. I happen to have picked, this is not an endorsement or recommendation or anything, I looked at one in particular, ARC, and then went to their website and looked at FinTech Innovation. All exchange traded funds will always show you what they own. So if you said to me, oh, I really like the name, and by the way, they always have seductive names. I mean, who could, gold bullion securities and look at there, where has it gone? There's it. ARC Innovation. All right. Ooh, innovation. Ooh, innovation. Alpesh, I want to be connected to the innovation market. So especially when you see the recent returns and volatilities under 10%, Sortino and Alpha. Oh, this looks interesting, Alpesh. And I said, whoa, that's just the starting point of research. When people say, oh, you must do your own research. What the hell does that mean? This is what it means. So you go to ARC's website, you look in and you say, well, what does it own? And they have to show you what they own. They have to be transparent. That's interesting, what they own in terms of innovation. Square, and you might not know what Square is, but you know how to research that because you're on my program. Apple, Tencent, Lending Tree, PayPal, some names you'll recognize. Twilio, I've mentioned before. Intuit, I used to own about 2 years ago, and then I dumped it, but I don't know how it's doing at the moment. And so on and so forth. And you can see, and you might say, well, why the hell have they got some of these, and what have they got, and what's the reason for it? So that's a great way to find out what they've got. It's a good way to put names into the funnel and then to research more. Here's where it gets really clever, though. On those websites, very often they will do clever little things like, because they want to market to you, like give you lots of information about what they're looking at. Now, you don't have to buy their ETF. For God's sake, you don't have to. You're going to do your own research. What I'm saying is they've done a lot of clever work for you. Like, because they're trying to sell you on what they're doing, they've given you some data on China and mobile payments. Now, you've got to remember, they're always going to talk their own book. There's a conflict of interest. They want to sell you. They want you to buy this. I'm not saying you should buy it, but what I'm saying is it's a great, simple way. When somebody's trying to sell you something, trust me, they're very to the point. They're clear. Okay, they're focused. Not like a journalist. A journalist just wants you to read, so they only need to worry about the headline and do clickbait. These guys, they want you to buy, so they really have to be clear in what they're saying. And you don't have to ever buy any of this stuff, but what I'm saying is a good way, without subscribing to lots of magazines, to see, okay, well, what's going on in the world? What's happening in fintech innovation and so on? And they'll tell you all sorts of clever little things. And I love the research they do. Now, I'm a geek. That's why I love it. You might say, forget about it. I'm not interested. But I'm just telling you what's available. Here's where it gets better. Look, autonomous technology and robotics. I know next to nothing about autonomous technology and robotics. What I do know is when somebody's willing to put it there for me, I might be interested and say, oh, who's involved in this space? Let's have a look. And here are some stock names. And I think, do I want to get diversification into this sector? In which case, you might go directly into an exchange traded fund. Not necessarily this one, might be others. Like I said, the most important things for me on exchange traded funds are volatility. I want it to be under 10% because I don't want, if I'm getting diversification, why do I want volatility? Okay, Sortino, more reward for the risk I'm taking, and return alpha, and I want to look at performance. If I'm after performance, I might not be after performance. I might just be after a safe haven for my money, in which case it's not performance I'm after. I'm just, don't move too much, mate. Don't lose. That's the key thing. But those are clever little ways of doing your research and finding information. Now you might say, but forget about that. I don't want to do any of that. That's fine, but there is a bare minimum you need to research. The bare minimum you should know what you own. After all, if you own a fund, I always recommend to people, please, for God's sake, drill down and know what on earth you're buying. What's in it? What do they own? And they have to tell you. It's brilliant. Okay, so top tip in terms of researching exchange traded funds and how finding the next big thing, whether it's autonomous technology or fintech or whatever else. Okay.